All right, this is Chapter 1, Lesson 5, Negative Exponents. So when I'm dealing with negative exponents, I have a couple of properties I want to look at. The first is the power of 0 exponent. So basically what that means is anything raised to the 0 power is going to be 1. Doesn't matter what it is, it could be 999 million to the 0 power, it's still going to end up being 1. The other one I want to look at is the negative exponent rule. Basically what happens is when I have a negative exponent, we don't really like those, so I want to change them to positive exponents. What I can do is wherever the negative exponent is, I can flip it and bring it either up or down into a fraction. So, for example, if I have a negative exponent, like I have here, a to the negative n, what I can rewrite it as is 1 over a to the n. So a negative exponent means we have to rewrite our power term as a 1 over a fraction. So negative exponents are positive fractions. All right, so let's try some examples together. So the first example I have is 6 to the negative third. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that as 1 over 6 to the third. So it's a definition of a negative exponent. That's why I can do that. All right. Another example I have is 1 to the 5 squared, 1 over 5 squared. I can rewrite that as a negative exponent if I wanted to, or if I'm asked to. All I have to do is bring that 5 up to the top and make it with a negative exponent. So 1 over 5 squared would give me 5 to the negative 2 power. So it can go either way, completely depending on what you're asked to find. The other one I have is 5 cubed times 5 to the negative 5th power. So I can actually simplify this because I have a couple of rules that I've already learned. So the first rule is the fact that I can subtract these exponents because they have the same base. So 3 plus a negative 5, I can add them together. 3 plus negative 5 gives me negative 2. Remember, when we're adding positive and negative numbers, it's the war rule. So because 5 is bigger and it's a negative, my answer is going to be negative. So I still have a negative exponent. I want to rewrite this as a positive exponent. So 5 to the negative 2nd power, I can rewrite as 1 over 5 squared. Or when I simplify it, I get 1 over 25. Okay? So now I have a couple of definitions I want to look at. The blank, 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 and the blank, blank, blank rules can be used to multiply and divide powers with negative exponents. In those blanks, you're going to write the following. The power of powers rule and the quotient of powers. So power of powers and quotient of powers rules can be used to multiply and divide powers with negative exponents. All that means is I can either add or subtract them depending on whether they're multiplied or divided. Okay? There are a couple of try problems out below. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, and try them out. When you come back, we'll go over the answers together. All right, now that you've had a chance to try out the try problems, let's go over the answers together. First, I have A. A says write each expression using a positive exponent. So I have 7 to the negative 2nd power. All I have to do is rewrite this so that I have a positive exponent. So when I do this, I have 1 over 7 squared. Because all I did was move the negative down to the denominator of a fraction to become a positive. Letter B says m to the negative 4th power. Again, I'm just rewriting this as a positive exponent. So I have 1 over m to the 4th power. For letters C and D, I'm being asked to write each fraction as an expression using a negative exponent other than negative 1. So for letter C, I have 1 over 4, which means I want to bring the 4 up to make it negative. But 4, remember I don't want to use -1, so I have to think about it. What to what power will give me 4? Well, I know 2 squared gives me 4, right? 4 equals 2 squared. So I can really write this as 1 over 2 squared. Then I want to rewrite this as a negative exponent, which means the 2 squared has to go up to the top, which means the 2, the exponent, becomes negative. So I can rewrite this as 2 to the -2 power. For letter D, I have 1 over 8 cubed, and I want to change this to a negative exponent. This one's super simple. All I have to do is bring the 8 up and change the exponent to negative. So I have 8 to the -3rd power. Letters E and F ask us to simplify each expression. Letter E says 3 to the -8 times 3 squared. Again, they both have the same base, so I can use the power of powers rule. This tells me that I can add the exponents together. -8 plus 2 gives me a -6. I can then rewrite that as 1 over 3 to the 6th power, which when I simplify, I get 1 over 729. For letter F, I have b to the -4 divided by b to the -7th power. I can use the quotient of power rules here, since they both have the same base. The quotient of powers rule tells me to subtract the exponents. So -4 minus a -7. Make sure that you still have those negative signs. These become positive because 2 negatives make a positive right next to each other. -4 plus 7 gives me a +3, which tells me I can rewrite this as b to the 3rd power. Since I don't know what b is, I can't simplify this expression any further. And that is the end of Chapter 1, Lesson 5.